You ever been so loyal it actually hurts? Like, you keep standing by people, fighting for them even when it breaks you. That's Guy. Everyone saw the smile, the energy, the fire. Nobody saw the punishment behind it. Nobody saw the man who gave everything just to prove he was enough. That kind of loyalty, it's beautiful but it's brutal. It's the kind that burns you slow, until there's nothing left but silence and scars. People think strength is about muscles or power, but sometimes it's about how much pain you can hide behind a laugh. That's what nobody noticed about Guy. The truth is, loyalty can be a curse when the world never gives it back. So yeah, before you call him just the funny sensei, maybe look a little closer. You'll see the cost of loving too much, of believing too hard. That's the truth nobody saw about Guy. If you ever felt like being loyal cost you more than it gave back, you get Guy. And if you're still here, it's probably because part of you knows that pain too. So hey, don't bounce yet, hit that subscribe and drop a like. Not because I said so, but because you know this story isn't just about him, it's about you. About what happens when being real, being loyal, starts to hurt. Every video here goes deeper. No fake hype, no filler, just raw truth about the characters we grew up with and the pieces of us they hide. Stick around, because the next one might hit even harder. You ever notice how some people carry fire inside but never let it burn where anyone can see? That's Guy. Not the flashy, over-the-top kind of fire. Nah, his is quiet, relentless, like the ocean wearing down the cliffs one wave at a time. You see him smiling, cracking jokes, moving like nothing can touch him, but inside it's a storm. Every step, every punch, every leap he takes isn't just physical. It's mental. It's a decision he makes over and over to keep showing up, even when no one else does. And that's the thing about trauma, it's sneaky. It creeps in where no one looks. For Guy, it wasn't a single moment. It was decades of being unseen, of being told he wasn't enough, of feeling like he had to scream his worth into a void that didn't answer back. And you? You know that void. That place where you give and still feel empty. It's lonely, but there's a strange, magnetic pull to it, right? Like the world's quiet judgment wraps around you and tells you gotta prove yourself again. And again. He trains like it's oxygen, but every bead of sweat, every sore muscle is a story nobody reads. Do you feel that tension in your chest when you push too hard, too fast, trying to be seen? That's what he lives with. His mental state isn't just about strength. It's about survival. A transformation that's brutal and invisible. You might think, dude's just a fighter, but there's layers. Layers that tell you the truth about loyalty, about obsession, about a mind that refuses to rest. You start to notice how every choice he makes, every reckless leap, isn't just for glory, it's for existence. It's to prove to himself again that he matters. That the world can't break him, even if it never notices. And here's the crazy part, you start seeing yourself in him. That fear of being invisible, the craving to be recognized, the constant mental tug-of-war between what you want and what the world expects of you. Guy's not just an anime character. He's a mirror. And mirrors are brutal, they show truth you might not want to see. Like how sometimes loyalty isn't a gift. Sometimes it's a punishment. You ever been so committed to someone or something that it starts to eat away at your soul little by little? That's the story he's been living. Quietly. Painfully. Every grin he throws at the world is a mask. Every joke a barrier. And if you've ever worn a mask, you know how heavy it can get. But the mental game isn't just about hiding pain. It's about conditioning yourself. Guy learned early that the world won't hand you validation. You take it or you fade. Dopamine hits from small wins, the mental reinforcement of pushing limits, the tiny victories no one claps for. That's what keeps him moving. You feel it too, don't you? That mix of pride and exhaustion that comes from giving everything with zero guarantee. And yet, there's a beauty in it. A dark, twisted elegance in knowing exactly what it costs to keep going and doing it anyway. There's also a layer most people miss, the kind that hits like a secret in the middle of the night. Guy's pain isn't obvious because it's performed. Every flash of confidence, every confident swing, it's rehearsed. A calculated performance. And that's the part nobody notices, the human behind the legend. The part that wonders, alone, if anyone would care if the fire finally went out. That's where the suspense lives, that invisible tension that keeps you leaning in trying to figure it out. Because if you see it, you start questioning your own mental scripts, your own commitments, the sacrifices you silently make. And here's the twist. The more invisible his struggle is, the more profound his impact becomes. You don't realize it at first, but watching someone endure like this, enduring without applause, it reshapes how you see effort, loyalty, resilience. You start to notice the subtle truths about yourself. the times you've let fear dictate your moves, the moments you've hidden your struggle behind a smile. Guy's not just teaching ninja moves. He's teaching survival in the shadows, the cost of being steadfast when nobody's watching, and the psychological architecture that holds you upright even when your world whispers doubt. And as you feel that tension, as the understanding creeps in, you can almost touch it. The weight of decisions, the anatomy of mental toughness, the silent truth about pushing limits beyond the visible. You feel the pull of curiosity, the itch of empathy, the twist of mystery as you begin to understand how loyalty, courage, and hidden suffering intertwine. You see the man behind the facade, the truth hidden in plain sight, and it leaves you unsettled but alive. Because recognizing it isn't just about him. It's about you. Your own layers, your own battles, your own quiet storms. And now, as the picture starts to sharpen, the subtleties of his journey unfold like a shadow across your own reflection. You feel the faint brush of fear, that safe but intense awareness of what it costs to truly commit, to truly endure, to truly be loyal without expecting a single nod back. That's when the story gets visceral. That's when you realize the depth of his transformation, the shaping of his mental landscape, the sheer magnitude of the choices hidden behind each punch, each leap, each laugh. It's relentless. It's intimate. And somehow, it's exactly what makes him human. You ever just stand there, staring at yourself in the mirror, wondering why it never feels like enough? That gnawing emptiness that creeps into your chest when you've given everything but nobody notices, nobody cares? Yeah, that's exactly what Guy lives with. You see, it's not just about the punches he throws or the flips he lands. It's the invisible ones, the ones that hit inside, the ones no one else can feel. And suddenly you start seeing him not just as some ninja with a green jumpsuit, but as a mirror. A reflection of your own battles, your own silent struggles. The way he pushes even when the world shrugs, the way he keeps leaping higher and higher even when no one's watching. It's almost too familiar. You feel it in your own bones, the weight of proving yourself again and again, the constant tug between wanting to be seen and the quiet terror of being ignored. Every joke he cracks, every smile he forces, it's not just for laughs. It's a shield. A subtle way to keep the world at bay while he's secretly calculating, deciding which part of himself he can show, which part he must bury. And you know that feeling too, right? That tight knot in your stomach when you smile at someone, laugh at something, but inside the storm is raging? That's the mirror. That's the mental battlefield that Guy navigates every day. And it hits hard because the more invisible the struggle, the more crushing the impact. You start to wonder about your own choices, your own mental limits, and suddenly it's not just about Guy anymore. It's about the truth hidden in your own decisions, the cost of keeping your fire lit when nobody applauds. See, there's a kind of rhythm to his pain, a strange dance between mental discipline and emotional exhaustion. You can almost feel the pulse of it, the echo of every early morning run, every hour spent hitting the bag while his mind churns. It's a transformation that's slow, almost imperceptible, but with each repetition he's shaping more than his body. He's sculpting his mind, testing his limits, questioning his worth. And you can't help but notice the layers peeling away. The public sees the energy, the flashy moves, the courage, but the real story, the quiet truth, that's in the hidden cracks, the backstage moments where he's just a guy, alone with his doubts, alone with the weight of proving he's enough. And that tension, that silent pressure? It mirrors something inside you too. Maybe you felt that same push, the tug-of-war between what you want to do and what you feel forced to do. The mental games, the self-imposed trials, the relentless grind, it's the human condition laid bare. Guy becomes more than a character. He becomes a lens to examine your own life, to reflect on the sacrifices you've made, the battles you've fought quietly, the pain you've carried behind a smile. And just when you think you're catching up to the truth, a new layer slips in. A revelation you didn't expect. Maybe it's how even the smallest gestures of loyalty carry weight you didn't know existed. Maybe it's the realization that sometimes the cost of love and commitment isn't applause, it's erosion. And damn, you feel it, right? That little twist in your chest when you recognize yourself in him. That uncomfortable tightening, that pull of empathy, the curiosity gnawing at the edges of your mind. How far could you push? How much would you give before it breaks you? Guy's story is stitched with these questions, each one a tiny, persistent knife. But here's the thing, the pain is safe. You're not in the dojo, you're not taking the blows, you're watching, reflecting, absorbing. And that safety? It's addictive. It lets you explore the edges of loyalty, strength, and mental endurance without falling apart, and yet the pull is irresistible. You want to know more. You want to trace his steps, feel the strain in your own chest as he runs, jumps, fights for recognition that may never come. There's this moment you catch yourself in, when the laughter, the flips, the bravado fade, and all that remains is a boy struggling against invisibility. And then your mind starts mapping the parallels. The friends who didn't see you, the bosses who didn't care, the family expectations, the quiet failures no one applauds. And suddenly it's not just Guy's story anymore, it's yours. The transformation, the mental fortitude, the decisions made in silence, the truth hidden in plain sight, the impact of invisible effort, the revelations buried in persistence, they all hit home. You can feel the shadow of every choice you've ever made, every act of endurance that went unnoticed. And as you linger there, on that edge between curiosity and empathy, you start feeling the pressure, the weight of his journey, the profound solitude that shapes him. You notice the subtle cues, the pause before a punch, the clenched jaw, the tightness in the chest, the fleeting glance that says more than words ever could. It's the human story behind the heroics, the truth that loyalty is not always celebrated, that strength is not always visible, that perseverance carries both glory and grief. And somehow, in seeing this, you begin to understand the layers of your own hidden battles. You see the quiet sacrifices, the invisible scars, the mental scripts you follow just to survive another day. And then the whispers of mystery start creeping in, the stuff nobody talks about. The secret struggles behind the cheerful mask. The decisions that could have broken him but didn't. The moments of doubt that flicker in his eyes for the briefest second before vanishing under a grin. And you start to anticipate, you start to feel the pull of the story yet to unfold. You realize the journey is ongoing. That the mental architecture of loyalty, of commitment, of hidden suffering is still being built. And that tension, that edge, grips you because it feels intimate, it feels like you're inside the dojo, inside his mind, tracing each thought, each beat of effort, each breath of perseverance. It's here in this space that the impact is most profound. The backstage of Guy's life, the truth behind the laughter, the echoes of decisions you never noticed, they all collide in your chest. And you feel the pull of curiosity, the ache of empathy, the thrill of understanding something deeply hidden. You feel the transformation, the shaping of mental fortitude, the subtle revelation that every leap, every punch, every act of loyalty carries a cost you've only just begun to comprehend. You're not just watching a story anymore. You're living it in fragments, in pulses, in whispered truths that brush against your consciousness. And as the layers continue to peel, as the psychological depth reveals itself piece by piece, you sense that the journey isn't over. That the next step, the next revelation, the next secret waits just beyond your gaze, ready to pull you deeper, to challenge what you thought you knew about strength, about loyalty, about the hidden costs that define a life like Guy's. You ever feel that pull in your chest, that split-second tension between what you want and what you have to be? That's Guy all day, every day. He wakes up before the sun, pushes his body beyond pain, trains like his heartbeat depends on it, and for what? For the eyes of a world that barely notices. You feel that, don't you? That gnawing itch that keeps you second-guessing, that quiet whisper telling you, you gotta keep proving it or it's all wasted. That's the tension between the dream and the demand, the desire to just be seen for who you are and the crushing weight of the role you're expected to play. And it's brutal. You watch him swing through the air, hear his laughter, see his energy, and you think it's effortless. But it's not. Every step is a decision. Every leap is a declaration. His mental landscape is forged in contradiction. He wants admiration, craves recognition, yet he is chained by obligation, molded by expectations that don't give him a choice. You know that feeling, right? Wanting to do something for yourself, but the world keeps adding stakes, keeps asking for more, keeps watching with those critical eyes that see your mistakes but never your effort. And suddenly, your own mental script starts flashing in your mind. The times you bent yourself to someone else's expectation, the quiet sacrifices that nobody applauded. That's what makes Guy relatable, because he doesn't just fight enemies, he fights the invisible chains of expectation. And here's the twist. The more he tries to show the world his truth, the more it feels like the world resists seeing it. That tension fuels transformation, but it's a dark one. It carves mental toughness, but it leaves cracks, invisible fractures that don't show until he's alone. And you start noticing, piece by piece, how the weight of responsibility, the pull of loyalty, the constant demand to perform, every single one of those tiny hidden pressures, shapes him. He's not just disciplined, he's calculated, precise, every movement and decision a reflection of mental architecture designed to endure pain silently, to keep proving he exists in a world that would rather overlook him. It's fascinating, isn't it? How the conflict between desire and duty, between personal longing and imposed responsibility, can sculpt a person into something larger than themselves, yet more fragile than anyone realizes. You can feel it creeping into your own thoughts, the recognition of your own compromises, the silent costs of decisions you've made to survive, to fit, to be seen. And that's where the mystery lives. The space between what you want and what you must do, the invisible battlefield that tests your mental fortitude and your ability to endure. You can almost feel the mental sweat, the subtle adrenaline of each choice, the heartbeat skipping when the weight of expectation presses a little too hard. That's Guy. That's you reflected. That's the impact of living in the shadow of unspoken rules, the truth hidden behind every smile, every effort, every leap. And the story digs deeper. Because it's not just tension for tension's sake. It's revelation. Each moment of push, each silent struggle, teaches you about the hidden mechanics of endurance, the backstage of courage, the internal calculus of loyalty. Every decision he makes is a mirror of mental resilience. Every invisible bruise, every unseen tear, every suppressed doubt, these are the cracks through which you glimpse his humanity. And you feel it, in the pit of your stomach, the slow burn of empathy, the tight knot of curiosity. How far would you go before you break? How much would you give before the world notices, or refuses to notice? The truth is, it's not the applause that defines him. It's the silent persistence, the unseen struggle, the choice to keep standing when nobody else will. And then the layers unfold. You see the hidden patterns, the way he calculates every move, the way he manages perception, the way he shields his vulnerability while pushing himself to transformation. The decisions, the mental strategies, the tiny victories nobody sees, they're not just survival, they're a form of mastery. A form of truth revealed in fragments, only to those patient enough to notice. And you feel that pull in your chest, that curiosity that won't let go, that empathy that twists and coils because you recognize the same tension in your own life, the same need to prove yourself, the same secret burden of loyalty that can both empower and crush you. And here's the thing, the more you dwell on it, the more visceral it becomes. You can almost feel the sweat soaking his jumpsuit, the strain in his muscles, the subtle tremor in his hands that betrays the silent agony of wanting more than the world allows. You start to understand why mental toughness isn't glamorous. It's raw, lonely, messy. Why transformation isn't just about growth. It's about surviving the internal battlefield, navigating the tension between desire and duty, and emerging still willing to fight. You're inside the dojo now, not physically but emotionally. You feel the impact of each leap, each decision, each choice made in silence. And the revelations pile on. The mental architecture of loyalty, the hidden costs of commitment, the fractured beauty of strength forged in isolation. And then the anticipation hits. The subtle, almost imperceptible sensation that there's more. That the tension, the struggle, the truth hidden behind Guy's bravado isn't fully revealed yet. That every calculation, every silent moment of pain, every invisible decision is part of a larger picture. One that reflects on your own life, your own choices, your own hidden battles. You can feel it, the pull of curiosity, the ache of empathy, the thrill of uncovering secrets bit by bit. And the story doesn't let go, it lingers in your chest, in your mind, in your imagination. Because that tension between wanting to be admired and needing to survive, that delicate, brutal balance between desire and obligation continues, and it's almost intoxicating. You want to know what comes next. You want to trace every hidden layer, every mental maneuver, every quiet sacrifice. You can almost feel the next revelation brushing against your awareness, waiting to pull you deeper, to challenge what you thought you knew about strength, loyalty, and the invisible cost of being steadfast when nobody's watching. You can almost feel it, right? That tight, burning weight pressing on your chest, the one that comes from giving everything and still feeling unseen. That's the pulse of Guy's reality, and it's not just muscles and sweat. It's brainwork, mental gymnastics, psychological warfare against himself. You get the sense that each early morning sprint, every exhausting push-up, every relentless punch isn't just physical. It's his way of forcing his mind to obey, of trying to carve a little recognition out of a world that won't hand it to him. There's no applause, no cheers, just the echo of his own heartbeat reminding him he has to keep going, and that echo can get heavy, almost unbearable. You felt that, haven't you? That gnawing need to be acknowledged, that craving for a simple nod, a word of approval, the smallest sign that you matter. And when it never comes, when it's always withheld, the mind starts to adapt in strange ways. Guy's psychology isn't textbook. It's a living, breathing experiment in endurance. Dopamine hits don't come from validation from others. They're stolen in fragments, tiny victories like perfecting a kick or sticking a landing when nobody's watching. And each of these small reinforcements is stitched into the fabric of his mental discipline, a secret system of reward and punishment that keeps him moving. You can almost see the circuitry firing in his brain, the subtle tension of his neurons craving recognition but learning to survive without it. And that's where it gets dark. The deeper the conditioning, the more automatic the performance, the emptier the emotional tank becomes. You feel a shiver just imagining it, right? The way you can push, push, push until your body is screaming and your mind is numb, yet still crave something that never shows up. That's the hidden cost of loyalty, of self-imposed trials, of a mental architecture designed to survive isolation and ignore the absence of reward. And here's the thing that really hits. Guy's brain has learned to regulate itself in a way most people can't even imagine. Every time he feels doubt creeping in, every fleeting thought that maybe he's invisible, maybe he's not enough, he flips a mental switch. He suppresses anxiety, he reconditions fear, he manipulates his own dopamine to keep moving forward. That's pure survival. That's the kind of mental fortitude that would crush most people. And yet, there's a subtle emptiness behind it. Because no matter how many calculations he makes, no matter how many invisible battles he wins, the validation never comes externally. It's a mental loop, and you can almost hear it spinning, like gears grinding silently in the back of his mind, each one a tiny sacrifice of emotional energy for the sake of enduring. You feel it in your gut just thinking about it, the psychological weight of being locked in a system that demands perfection but offers nothing but isolation in return. And that's where the empathy hits hardest. You start to notice your own patterns, the ways you've sought approval from people who never saw you, the little reinforcements you gave yourself to survive, the times you kept moving when your mental tank was empty. Guy becomes not just a character but a lens to examine your own mental scripts. And the more you look, the more the subtle psychology unfolds. The reinforcement schedules hidden in every action, the way anxiety can be repurposed as drive, the way self-regulation becomes both shield and cage. You can almost feel the tension in your own body as you watch it play out, the echo of suppressed emotion, the ache of effort that goes unseen. And it's intoxicating because it's intimate. It's like leaning over his shoulder, seeing the wiring of his mind, and realizing the fragility beneath the fire. And then there's the revelation that cuts deeper. The emptiness doesn't just reside in absence of recognition, it's cultivated in isolation. Each extreme training session, each self-imposed limit, each mental discipline moment is not just practice. It's a negotiation with his own mind, a constant battle to balance drive and despair. You feel it in your chest, the subtle tension of understanding the cost of transformation, the price of mental toughness that's invisible to the world. It's not heroism in the conventional sense. It's survival in the shadows, mastery of pain, control over self that borders on obsession. And yet, there's a strange beauty in it, an elegance you can't ignore. The way a human mind can bend, adapt, and endure silently, while the outside world never blinks an eye. And the suspense builds because you start noticing the layers that aren't told directly. How his brain creates subtle feedback loops, how every micro-victory feeds the next, how each small choice builds a fortress of resilience and emptiness at the same time. You start piecing together the backstage of his psychology, the hidden mechanisms behind what seems like raw energy and enthusiasm. And as you do, you feel the pull, the curiosity of uncovering these truths, the empathy that twists in your gut, the subtle fear that you recognize in yourself, the shadow of obsession and commitment that you've danced with in your own life. Guy becomes not a distant figure, but a mirror, a reflection of the psychological architecture you inhabit when the world is cold, when approval is scarce, when the price of persistence is paid in invisible currency. And that's the thing, his story isn't linear. It doesn't unfold neatly. It's fragmented, each revelation a pulse, a flicker of understanding, a brief, visceral insight into the machinery of loyalty, endurance, and hidden suffering. You can feel the tension building, the unspoken layers of struggle, the mental gymnastics behind every leap, every punch, every moment of bravery. And in that tension, in that intimate reflection, you start to realize that transformation isn't a moment. It's a process, a mental marathon that carries both impact and pain, decisions and consequences, revelations and shadows. And it lingers in your chest, that subtle ache, because the story is still unfolding, and the invisible weight of Guy's psychology continues to pull you deeper, inviting you to feel, to understand, to reflect, to notice the truth hidden in plain sight, and to sense that what comes next will strip away another layer of both him and yourself, leaving only the raw, unfiltered tension of loyalty, mental fortitude, and the cost of carrying a burden that nobody else can see. So, what are you thinking so far? Drop a comment, seriously, we want to hear your take. Ever felt like this yourself? Know someone who's been through it? Share your story, let us know. It actually helps me keep making content like this for you. Just hit it, type it out, and let's talk. You can almost hear it, right? That heavy, suffocating quiet that presses down when the world isn't watching, when the applause never comes, when every external victory only sharpens the absence inside. That's the place Guy lives in, the shadowed corner of his mind where the body is exhausted, but the brain refuses to stop spinning. You feel it too, those moments when you've pushed past your limit, given more than anyone asked, and the emptiness just swells. It's not dramatic in front of others, it's subtle, insidious, gnawing at the edges of his thoughts. Each breath becomes heavier, each heartbeat louder in the deafening silence of unacknowledged effort. And you're there with him, feeling the mental pressure coil tighter, the echo of doubt that whispers, was it enough? Did it matter? And that's when the fracture appears. Not in his muscles, not in his training, but in the ego he's built from pure willpower. The victories that once fueled him now feel like mirrors reflecting the hollowness. Every punch, every leap, every meticulously calculated move is a reminder that recognition is still absent. You can sense the tension, the silent scream, the weight of expectations he imposed on himself and the ones imposed by the world. And here's where it gets raw. You realize that mental fortitude has a cost, a quiet kind of pain that's invisible yet devastating. You feel the anxiety, the internal dialogue spinning like a carousel, every thought a battle between pride and despair. But stay with me until the end, because here's the kicker. You're not just witnessing pain. You're tracing the architecture of his resilience. You'll see how every small fracture becomes a stepping stone, every invisible scar shapes the next move, every quiet loss fuels a silent determination. And you're part of it. You're in the dojo shoulder to shoulder, feeling the tension of every choice, every sacrifice. Because there's a secret in the shadows, a truth hidden in the relentless grind, and those who watch closely, who stay, will feel it before anyone else. Stay with me until the end, because the real revelations aren't the punches or the flips. They're the fragments of mental toughness, the subtle calculus of loyalty, the invisible cost of proving yourself when no one sees. And you can sense the transformation brewing, can't you? The tension between desire and duty, between craving recognition and needing to survive, has a pressure all its own. It's building, accumulating like a storm behind the eyes, a low hum in the chest, a weight that makes every movement deliberate, every thought sharper. You start to notice the small signals, the way his hands twitch before a strike, the slight tightening of his jaw, the micro-frowns that betray fleeting self-doubt. And you feel it inside yourself, that echo of every time you've given more than anyone saw, every time you've hidden pain behind a smile, every time you've carried a burden silently. It's intimate, almost invasive, because it draws you into the quiet theater of his mind, the backstage where the true battles are fought. And then the pressure reaches a point where it could break anyone, and that's the moment you feel the escalation. The victories no longer soothe, the discipline no longer comforts. The silence is so loud it hurts, vibrating through every thought, every decision, every heartbeat. Guy doesn't collapse in combat. He collapses in his solitude, in the corners of his consciousness where nobody can reach. You can almost see him pacing in the dark, fists clenched, chest tight, mind racing with 1,000 unacknowledged victories, each one amplifying the absence of recognition. You feel it, the tension, the ache, the desperate mental calculations of, am I enough? And here's the thing, the rupture isn't just emotional, it's a portal to revelation. You start noticing the hidden mechanisms of his mind, how discipline becomes a double-edged sword, how loyalty to his own path is both armor and cage, how endurance can fracture identity even while it sculpts strength. You're drawn into the nuances, the subtle conflicts, the micro-decisions that decide who survives mentally and who crumbles. And the curiosity hooks you. You start anticipating the secrets behind the next layer of effort, the truth hidden in moments that seem mundane but carry the weight of a universe inside them. Stay with me until the end, because this is where empathy hits hardest. The mental scaffolding that keeps him upright, the invisible calculations that govern every action, the micro-struggles behind smiles and victories, their lessons, reflections, warnings. And you start mapping them onto yourself, onto the unseen battles you've carried. You feel the friction between expectation and desire, the tension between what you want and what you must, the quiet agony of effort without acknowledgement. It's uncomfortable, almost addictive, because it feels so real, so immediate, like you're inside his mind, tracing each thought, each decision, each fragment of self-doubt and quiet determination. And as the escalation reaches its peak, you sense that the point of rupture is not the end, it's a hinge. The place where transformation and revelation converge. Where mental fortitude, loneliness, and silent endurance collide. Every heartbeat is a pulse of insight, every breath a reminder that the cost of perseverance is hidden yet immense, every fleeting micro-expression a clue to the larger truth. And you can feel it, the anticipation, the empathy, the creeping sense of understanding that what seems like chaos and pain is actually a meticulously sculpted architecture of the mind, forged in silence, hidden in plain sight. And in that space, in that visceral awareness, the connection is undeniable. You're not just watching, you're living it in fragments, in micro-experiences, in the quiet dread and the subtle thrill of discovering a truth no one else notices. And as the layers unfold, you realize that every choice, every leap, every moment of invisible struggle carries meaning, carries weight, carries impact. You feel it, your chest tightens, your mind races, your empathy coils and uncoils, and the suspense, the mystery of what's hidden next, keeps you anchored in the story, unable to look away, compelled to trace every decision, every revelation, every heartbeat. And that's where the mind starts playing tricks, right? You look at Guy and see that grin and maybe you think, yeah, he's got it all figured out. But it's a mask, carefully calibrated, a shield forged in the quiet hours when nobody's watching. Every "you can do it" he throws out, every pep talk to the team, every confident nod, it's not for them. It's for him. It's the thread he clings to when the mental weight of being invisible threatens to crush him. You feel the twist in your chest, that uneasy recognition because you've worn a mask too. Maybe not in the dojo, maybe not with 1,000 eyes on you, but in your own way, behind your own smile. That subtle echo, what if nobody really sees me? What if all this effort is just air? And it's in the micro moments where the real revelations live. When he's alone, fists clenched, shoulders tight, jaw stiff, you see the fragments of a person who's built a fortress out of routine, repetition, sheer force of will. Every early morning run, every grueling exercise, every time he pushes past pain, it's not just discipline, it's survival. And it's lonely. Devastatingly lonely. You feel it in your gut, the pressure of knowing that real strength often hides behind false ease. That mental fortitude isn't always loud or flashy. Sometimes it's subtle, almost invisible, like a secret current moving beneath calm waters. And then there's the way his mind twists reality. He's mastered not only the body but the art of masking pain, bending perception, crafting a narrative that convinces others, and himself, that everything is under control. And you can't help but lean closer, heart thumping, because it's mesmerizing to witness someone so adept at surviving without surrendering, at appearing untouchable while internally calculating every micro-movement, every heartbeat, every reaction. There's brilliance in it, but also tragedy. Every time he smiles, you feel that split-second hesitation in your chest, that recognition that behind the grin is a truth most will never understand. Resilience can be beautiful and it can be crushing. And it starts to ripple outward. You notice the tiny inconsistencies, the subtle signs that something is buried. The way his eyes linger just a second too long on a teammate's success, the quiet exhale when nobody's looking, the small moments where self-doubt slips through the cracks. And as you watch, your mind starts connecting the dots, feeling the hidden architecture of his psychology, the reinforcement loops, the silent negotiations with his own brain, the constant calibration of pain, pride, and validation. Each revelation, each subtle layer peeled back, deepens the empathy you feel. You're no longer just observing, you're inhabiting the shadows of his world, tracing the contours of his mental landscape, sensing the fractures, the strength, the invisible cost of carrying so much alone. And then the intensity grows because these layers aren't isolated, they compound. The more you see, the more the pattern emerges. Every outward display, every confident posture, every motivational word, it's part of a larger strategy, a survival protocol written in the language of scars and silent victories. You can almost feel the electrical hum in his brain, the tension coiled like a spring, ready to release in microbursts of action, thought, or insight. You're drawn in almost uncomfortably close because this is the theater of the mind, the backstage of endurance, the hidden reels of struggle and triumph that no one else sees. And it's addictive, the slow, creeping revelation that the strongest moments aren't always visible, that the greatest battles are often fought alone, quietly, within. And in that intimacy, a subtle shift happens. You start to recognize yourself in the fragments, in the hidden strategies, in the silent calculations, in the ways you've masked pain, sought approval, or crafted resilience in isolation. There's a tension there, a recognition that the price of strength isn't always celebrated, that the sacrifices often go unnoticed, that the grind isn't glamorous. And yet, you're compelled because witnessing this mastery of endurance, this intricate mental choreography, is like peering into a hidden world. You feel the pull to understand, the curiosity gnawing, the quiet empathy swelling. And then the final subtle twist lands, you realize the mask itself is a revelation. The smile, the pep talks, the unshakable energy, they're not signs of absence of struggle, they're indicators of profound internal mastery. The pain is real, the solitude is real, the sacrifice is real, but so is the power it generates. You feel it in your chest, that mix of awe and melancholy, that understanding that Guy's greatest strength lies not in visible feats, but in the unseen resilience, the mental gymnastics, the calculated endurance that turns pain into performance, invisibility into impact, and struggle into silent victory. And you notice the impact it leaves on you, the way it reshapes your perception of strength, effort, and recognition. And even as this understanding settles, the mind keeps turning, picking at the threads, noticing the subtleties, sensing the unrevealed layers waiting just beyond perception. Each glance, each micro-expression, each carefully hidden thought is a clue, a revelation, a fragment of truth that only grows richer the closer you watch, the more you let yourself feel. And that's the secret. His story doesn't just inform you, it envelopes you, coaxes you into the shadows of mental resilience, lets you trace the delicate balance between loyalty, effort, and invisibility, and leaves you suspended in that quiet tension, aching and fascinated, aware that the depth of what you've glimpsed is only the beginning of understanding. The hidden layers, the scaffolding of his inner world, the mastery of dissimulation, the careful choreography of pain and strength, they ripple outward, connecting to your own hidden battles, your own silent victories. And you feel that magnetic pull of curiosity, the quiet obsession with discovering the next fragment, the subtle thrill of tracing the truth that hides behind the obvious. Every subtle glance, every fleeting tension, every unspoken thought becomes a doorway into insight, into empathy, into reflection. And you know deep down that this is the kind of awareness that transforms, not in big loud moments but in the quiet, almost invisible appreciation of what endurance, loyalty, and hidden struggle truly cost, and what they quietly grant. And that's where the story of Guy starts to hit differently, right? You think about it, what does it even mean to win? To score a flashy victory, to be cheered, to be seen? Guy's victories are silent. They're invisible to the world, yet they carve deep trenches in his mind and heart. You feel it, the irony, the ache. Every triumph, every grueling step forward, carries the weight of internal expectation. That silent war he fights with himself, that constant wrestling with doubt, fear, and inadequacy, it's brutal, more epic than any battle you actually witness. And you can feel it, can't you? The tension in your chest, the way your mind tugs at those quiet truths about your own life. Because here's the kicker. External recognition is just a shadow. The real acknowledgement, the real victory is internal. And it's rare, and it's heavy, and it comes with scars that nobody can see. You start thinking about the things you've carried alone, the decisions you've made to satisfy someone else's measure of success, the parts of yourself you've left behind in silent compliance. Every compromise, every forced smile, every unspoken surrender has a cost. And it gnaws at you because suddenly you're not just watching Guy, you're seeing yourself, your choices, your hidden battles reflected in his struggle. That's the impact, the subtle yet undeniable pull of his story. It's not about the punches, the flips, the accolades. It's about the weight of enduring, of persisting, of building resilience in a world that often won't even pause to notice. And the symbolism cuts deep. Every early morning, every bead of sweat, every relentless push past pain, it's not just training. It's a testament to mental transformation, to the cultivation of an inner world capable of handling isolation, doubt, and relentless expectation. You can almost hear the quiet rhythm of his life, the pulse of discipline, the slow metronome of sacrifice, the invisible counting of mental victories. And you feel it yourself, how easy it is to miss those quiet triumphs in your own life, to mistake visible applause for meaningful impact. Because the truth he embodies is raw, the most profound battles are often fought inside, and the spoils are rarely external. And there's this subtle horror too, this whisper of human fragility. When you carry so much in silence, the risk of fracture is constant. You start noticing it in the small things, micro-twitches, brief hesitations, a fleeting shadow in the eyes, the subtle flexing of jaw muscles under pressure. You feel it in your own chest, the recognition that endurance comes at a cost, that mental fortitude is both gift and burden, that perseverance without acknowledgement can be isolating, terrifying, and transformative all at once. The visceral tension coils inside you, tightening with every observation because you sense the hidden machinery of his mind, the way he calculates, regulates, self-reinforces, and pushes forward, even when the world offers nothing in return. And then the reflection becomes unavoidable. You start asking yourself the questions Guy's story forces upon you. What am I sacrificing silently for a measure of success that isn't mine? How often have I trained, worked, endured, and smiled for validation that never came? How many internal battles have I fought alone, unnoticed, unacknowledged? You feel it, the subtle sting of memory, the tightness of recognition, the pull of empathy. It's uncomfortable, but it's captivating. It's raw and intimate. You're drawn into the quiet theater of endurance, tracing each unspoken decision, each hidden act of resilience, and realizing that these invisible wars shape more than bodies. They shape minds, identity, and destiny. And the beauty is in the silence, in the unglamorous grind. Every invisible victory, every micro-reinforcement of self, every act of loyalty to one's own code, even without applause, carries weight. You start noticing the patterns, the rhythm of quiet suffering, the hidden joy in small, private triumphs, the way persistence in solitude becomes a testament to unseen power. And it resonates. Deep down, you feel the echo in your own life, the parts where you've endured quietly, the sacrifices no one knew, the victories unshared but deeply felt. It's almost intoxicating, the awareness that real strength doesn't need a spotlight. It lives in the fragments, in the hidden calculations, in the relentless negotiation between fear, desire, and duty. And then the mind naturally turns to the philosophical edge, the lens Guy offers on human existence. Maybe winning externally is secondary. Maybe the epic battles happen where no one is watching. And maybe, just maybe, the struggle against yourself, the disciplined confrontation with fear, inadequacy, and expectation, is the truest measure of life's victories. You can feel the tension, the quiet suspense, the way your thoughts coil around your own hidden truths, your own undisclosed battles, your own quiet achievements. Every insight Guy reveals, every micro-revelation of his mental architecture, ripples outward, touching your consciousness in unexpected ways, making you reflect, question, and recognize. And as you sit with that, the subtle reorientation begins. Your perspective shifts, the weight of unnoticed efforts becomes meaningful, and the invisible scaffolding of endurance gains clarity. You sense the invisible impact, the quiet shaping of identity, the cumulative force of decisions made in silence, and the revelation that the internal struggle is not punishment, it's transformation. You feel the suspense building, the anticipation of discovering the next layer of truth, the small revelations and subtle gestures, the nuanced choreography of effort and endurance, all coalescing into a story that's not just about Guy, but about the architecture of human resilience itself. And in that awareness, the connection solidifies. You're no longer just observing. You're inhabiting, reflecting, feeling the weight of hidden victories, understanding the intimate cost of loyalty to oneself, recognizing the paradox of strength and isolation, of visible accomplishment versus internal mastery. Every glance, every subtle shift, every fragment of revealed truth pulls you deeper, keeps you anchored in the tension, compels you to follow the narrative through the maze of internal struggle and hidden triumphs. And as you linger there, immersed, your curiosity coils tighter, empathy swells, and the quiet mystery of what lies beneath every smile, every act of discipline, every silent sacrifice becomes an irresistible thread, guiding you forward into the next layer of understanding, where revelation and reflection collide and the story's gravity sinks deeper into your mind. And that's the quiet gravity of it, right? You start to feel the echo of your own invisible burdens and Guy's silent battles. It's uncanny, almost like looking into a mirror you didn't know existed. You can feel that tightness in your chest, the subtle tension in your jaw, the weight of decisions you've tucked away in corners of your mind where no one else can see. Guy's struggle becomes a shadow that touches your own hidden moments. The times you pushed forward when nobody noticed, the nights spent wrestling with doubt, the silent victories that never made it to the highlight reel. And it's raw, it's intimate, it's painful. But it's also strangely liberating because for the first time you're allowed to acknowledge that weight. There's a rhythm to his pain, a cadence that starts subtle, almost imperceptible, and then builds, like a low hum vibrating through your chest. Each microaction, each deliberate choice to persist, becomes a pulse of resilience that resonates not just in him but in you. And suddenly the distinction between spectator and participant blurs. You're not just watching Guy anymore, you're inhabiting the same hidden corridors of perseverance, tracing the unseen architecture of self-discipline, self-sacrifice, and silent strength. You feel the impact of each moment, the hidden layers of his mental landscape, and you realize that the stakes were never about trophies or recognition. They were about survival, identity, and the quiet shaping of a life built in the shadows. It's in that stillness where revelation strikes hardest. You start noticing the subtleties, the way he tightens his fists not just in preparation for combat, but in anticipation of life's unrelenting demands. The way he smiles not for approval, but as a private acknowledgement of endurance. It's a brutal, beautiful dance between suffering and mastery, and you can't look away because somewhere deep inside, you recognize the same rhythm in yourself. Every quiet victory you've ever claimed, every moment you've endured unseen, pulses back in resonance. And the revelation grows. Strength isn't always visible. True impact isn't always applauded. Real transformation happens in the fragments, the unshared battles, the private decisions that ripple through your mental landscape and leave an indelible mark. And there's a strange comfort in that recognition. You start to feel a kinship with the struggle, a visceral empathy that cuts through the surface. It's not just curiosity anymore, it's ownership of the lesson, of the truth occults hidden in the mundane grind, in the unrecognized effort. You're drawn deeper, compelled to reflect. How often have you silenced your own pain to meet expectations not even yours? How often have you disguised fear as determination, or doubt as drive? The tension tightens in your chest, the pulse in your veins quickens, and yet you feel safe in it because this is a shared humanity, a communion in unspoken endurance. And then you catch the micro-revelations, the subtle yet devastating truths in his narrative. The moments that most people overlook, the hesitation before a step forward, the fleeting glance at a world that doesn't notice, the quiet sigh of exhaustion before summoning more. You feel it all, a mixture of dread and awe, as though each unspoken secret of Guy's inner life is being whispered directly into your consciousness. The suspense coils in your mind because every insight comes in fragments, every truth unfolds slowly, and you know there's more hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be felt, acknowledged, understood. And it's that fragmentation that keeps you tethered, isn't it? Each revelation is a shard of understanding, a glimpse behind the curtain, a backstage pass to the anatomy of mental endurance. You start noticing the patterns in your own life, the invisible scaffolding of resilience, the quiet measures of success that nobody else applauds, the decisions made in silence that determine the trajectory of your own transformation. Guy's story becomes a lens through which you examine your own battles, your own strategies, the hidden architecture of your internal victories and defeats. You feel the weight of the metaphor in your bones. Each time he endures, each time he masks the ache with a smile, it's a lesson in intimate, unspoken courage. The narrative becomes less about anime and more about the human condition, about carrying burdens nobody can see, about building mental fortitude when external validation is absent, about the strange, potent satisfaction of surviving on your own terms. And in that recognition, empathy blooms. You see yourself reflected not just in the victories, but in the fatigue, in the doubt, in the relentless push forward despite the absence of applause. It's uncomfortable, yes, but necessary. And suddenly the silence becomes full. Every unspoken thought, every internal compromise, every hidden burst of strength resonates in your own life. You feel the pull of belonging, the subtle, visceral attachment to a narrative that mirrors your own struggles. It's intimate, almost too intimate, because it's not just a story anymore, it's a shared experience, a mirror held up to your own endurance, your own private victories, your own silent sacrifices. And as you dwell in that connection, the anticipation coils tighter, the mystery deepens, and your curiosity spikes because you sense that there are still more layers, more truths occulta, more revelations in the bastidors of Guy's psyche that have yet to surface. You can almost feel the tremor in his chest, the tightening of his muscles, the slight tremor of doubt met with defiance. You're right there with him, tracing the contours of his mental architecture, experiencing the delicate balance between despair and discipline, isolation and triumph, duty and desire. And you know, this is where the story transcends anime. This is human endurance distilled, the mental architecture of resilience, and the transformation that comes from silent, unheralded struggle. And somewhere deep inside you sense it, the subtle pull of anticipation, the quiet insistence that more will unfold, that the next revelation will pierce even further into understanding, and that the truth, when finally revealed, will land with impact, reshaping your perspective in ways both unsettling and enlightening. And in that lingering awareness, in the echo of his invisible victories, you're left with a sensation that is both unsettling and comforting. A reminder that your own silent efforts are not meaningless, that your struggles are witnessed in fragments, that your resilience is a quiet triumph shaping your destiny. The reflection is unmistakable. Every hidden victory, every sacrifice made in solitude, every decision weighed in silence carries more significance than applause could ever convey. And as the story coils and unfolds, you feel the gravity of it all, how easily unnoticed acts of courage, endurance, and loyalty can sculpt character, shape destiny, and illuminate the shadowed corridors of the mind. And it's in that reflection, in that intimate resonance, that the thread of narrative pulls you forward naturally, urging you to sense the next layer, to feel the next subtle shift, to follow the trajectory of hidden battles and quiet triumphs without any external prompting, letting curiosity, empathy, and the visceral pull of human endurance guide you seamlessly deeper into the psychological labyrinth of Guy's world. Hey, before we dive even deeper, If you're vibing with this and want to keep unraveling the truth about Guy, hit that subscribe button and throw a like. For real, missing out means skipping all the hidden layers, the backstage stuff, the stuff nobody talks about, and trust me, that's where the real impact hits. You'll regret it if you don't. It's like skipping the part of the story that actually changes how you see everything. So yeah, go ahead, join the crew, and let's keep peeling back these layers together. And that's the haunting part, isn't it? You feel it settle in your chest. The quiet persistence, the invisible burden, the way Guy moves forward again and again while the world barely blinks. It's almost cruelly beautiful, the contrast between relentless action and silent suffering. You notice the small tremor in his hand, the flicker in his eyes when no one's watching, the pause before a smile that hides more than it reveals. And as you watch, it's impossible not to trace the pattern back to your own life. The times you pushed, the times you masked your own pain with a laugh, the nights you fought battles nobody knew existed. It's here in the shadows that the truth occults hums. Strength isn't always measured in victories, applause, or recognition. It's measured in the quiet, in the decisions that feel too heavy to carry, in the moments when giving up would be easier but you don't. You can almost feel the impact in your own body, the tightness in your chest, the tension in your shoulders, the slow release when you realize you're not alone in that struggle. Every secret he carries, every unspoken weight, mirrors your own hidden corridors, and it's eerie and liberating all at once. You start to sense the transformation taking shape, not dramatic, not flashy, but subtle and relentless. Each step he takes forward, even under unbearable pressure, is a ripple that reaches into the way you see resilience, discipline, and mental fortitude. You notice the mental architecture of endurance forming, the invisible scaffolding of willpower and self-discipline that has gone unnoticed. And the revelations keep coming, whispered in fragments. The victories you've never claimed, the sacrifices you've never shared, the courage it takes just to keep standing when nobody is looking. And there's a strange intimacy in that realization. You feel like you're intruding on something sacred, but it's not a voyeuristic gaze. It's a shared resonance, a recognition that the quiet struggle is universal, that the human mind bends and molds under pressure, that mental toughness is often invisible. You feel the suspense coil in your chest because every nuance, every small tremor of doubt and triumph, leaves you guessing, leaves you needing to understand more. There's a curiosity that tugs at you, a mystery embedded in each choice he makes, each silent endurance, each hidden fragment of his psyche. You can almost hear the pulse of his reality, the subtle rhythm of his breaths, the cadence of thought and action in a life lived under self-imposed trials. The tension builds, not in explosive fights, but in the space between effort and recognition, action and acknowledgement. It's intimate, visceral, and a little uncomfortable because it holds up a mirror. You see your own shadows reflected in his. And in that reflection, there's empathy, there's fear, there's fascination. You feel it ripple through your body, ignite a fire of curiosity and tension that refuses to dissipate. And yet, the story refuses to close. The silence at the end of each chapter, the unfinished sentences in his journey, leave you suspended, almost holding your breath. It's an open-ended echo. The pain, the determination, the quiet victories, they linger. You notice how the smallest gestures, the fleeting decisions, the moments no one will ever witness, carry weight far beyond what anyone could imagine. And it's precisely in that unfinished, unresolved space that the narrative becomes deeply, hauntingly personal. It's your heartbeat syncing with his, your mind tracing the contours of resilience and hidden suffering, your curiosity craving the fragments yet unrevealed. The subtle tension is addictive. You start to notice your own mental landscapes in parallel. The moments you've smiled to hide pain, the decisions you've shouldered alone, the endurance that's gone unseen. It's intimate, almost too intimate because it forces reflection. You can't just watch. You have to feel, to inhabit, to connect. And each fragment, each whispered truth, deepens the psychological labyrinth, reminding you that real strength, true endurance, exists in the silent, unseen battles we wage every day. And so it lingers, this quiet weight. You can almost feel it in your veins, the echo of perseverance and solitude. The tension coils in your chest, curiosity claws at your mind, and empathy roots you firmly in the shared human experience. Guy moves forward always, but the pain, invisible and persistent, shapes the very essence of what it means to endure. And as that echo resonates, the narrative threads naturally toward what lies beyond, the next subtle revelation waiting to unfold, leaving your mind both unsettled and magnetized, craving the fragments yet to come. Alright, so you made it all the way here, and that already tells me something. You've been feeling every beat of this story, every quiet struggle, every shadowed moment. If this hit you like it did me, go ahead and tap that subscribe because the journey doesn't stop here. There's more layers to uncover, more truths that hit beneath the surface, and I want you right there with me. And hey, if you're vibing with what you just felt, drop a comment below with something like, "This hit me deep," or "I'm with you till the end." I want to hear your story, feel your connection. Every comment is a little pulse of shared understanding, a reminder we're not facing these shadows alone. And if you're feeling that energy, give the video a like. It's like saying, "Yeah, I get it, I see it, I'm part of this too." There's a video over here that dives even deeper into this same vibe, peeling back more of the hidden truths and quiet battles nobody talks about. Click over and stay close, because what you're about to see next, it's gonna hit in ways that'll stick with you long after the screen goes dark. Trust me, you don't want to skip it. So yeah, lean in, feel it, and let's keep walking through these shadows together. The story's far from over, and the next chapter's waiting, ready to shake up everything you thought you knew.